You step out into a screaming Arctic wind, your breath burning your lungs, snow hissing sideways against your face, and you realize the cold isn't just uncomfortable, it's hunting you. You're looking for shelter, not comfort, and you wonder how anyone survived winters like this without furnaces, insulation foam, or electric heat. So here's the question pressing in your chest like the cold itself. How did Viking families stay warm enough to live, sleep, and raise children in conditions that would shut down modern cities? As you picture longships and iron blades, you're missing the quietest weapon they ever built. Imagine lowering yourself into a home that barely rises above the ground, where the wind suddenly vanishes, the temperature steadies, and the cold loses its teeth. This isn't a cave, and it isn't a hut, but something deliberately shaped to borrow heat from the earth itself. You're standing at the edge of a design so effective it survived 1,000 winters, yet was later stripped from architectural manuals and labelled primitive. This is where the mystery deepens, because what you're about to hear isn't about brute force or constant fire. It's about understanding the land beneath your feet. And once you see it, you'll start wondering why we ever stopped building this way. You have to remember what daily life demanded from you if you were Viking-age Arctic family, because this wasn't a weekend survival challenge, it was every single day. You woke before light, worked until darkness swallowed the horizon, and returned home already losing heat faster than you could replace it. Wood was precious, fires were dangerous, and smoke could kill you just as easily as cold. So your home wasn't a place to show wealth or reach for the sky, it was a tool designed to keep your body alive through months when the sun barely appeared. Imagine children sleeping inches from frozen ground, elders conserving energy and food that would spoil if temperatures fluctuated too wildly. You needed warmth that didn't depend on constant fuel or perfect weather. That's where earth-sheltered homes changed everything. By sinking walls into the soil and piling turf thick as a living blanket, you stepped into a space where temperatures stayed remarkably stable. Outside might plunge far below freezing, but inside hovered just above it, sometimes warmer with only body heat and a small hearth. This wasn't luxury. It was survival math learned through generations of trial and loss. Every collapsed roof, every smoke-filled room, every winter death refined the design. What you're seeing isn't accidental architecture, it's a response to relentless pressure. And when survival is the teacher, efficiency becomes ruthless and brilliant. Now imagine building one yourself, because the method is simpler than you expect. You start by cutting into the earth, not deep enough to trap water, but far enough to escape the wind. The ground becomes your first layer of insulation, wrapping the home on all sides except the roof. Next, you stack stone or timber walls inside this shallow pit, creating a rigid shape that resists collapse. Here's the clever part. You don't fight moisture, you manage it. Drainage channels guide meltwater away, while packed earth and stone breathe just enough to prevent rot. Then comes the roof, built low and heavy, layered with birch bark, turf and soil. Grass grows on top, locking everything together like living armour. Heat from a small central hearth rises, spreads, and gets trapped under that thick, weighted ceiling. The earth absorbs excess warmth during the day and releases it slowly at night, smoothing out temperature swings. Even the entrance is designed to protect you, often lowered or bent, forcing cold air to sink before it reaches living space. Step by step, every choice funnels heat inward and chaos outward. You're not heating air, you're stabilizing an environment. This is why it worked so disturbingly well, because the Vikings weren't chasing heat, they were eliminating loss. Wind can't steal warmth if it never reaches your walls. Sudden temperature drops can't shock your body if the earth buffers every change. The soil around you stays close to a constant temperature year-round, and by hugging it, your home borrows that stability. Here's the part most people miss. Fire wasn't the hero, it was the supplement. Body heat, cooking heat, even animals housed nearby, all added to the system, turning the home into a slow, steady thermal loop. Turf roofs didn't just insulate, they sealed gaps and muted sound, creating silence that reduced stress and conserved energy. Smoke filtered through roof vents and porous materials, lowering the risk of suffocation. Everything worked together because it had to. No single innovation saved them, the system did. This logic is why some of these structures left archaeological traces of warmth centuries later, long after wooden beams rotted away. It's also why early modern observers misunderstood them, seeing dirt and grass instead of engineering. What looked crude was actually optimized for extremes. And once you understand that, modern walls and heaters start to feel strangely fragile by comparison. So why did something this effective disappear? Because once cheap fuel, industrial materials and centralized heating arrived, patience vanished. Above-ground houses were faster to build, easier to standardize, and looked cleaner to societies obsessed with progress. Earth-sheltered homes were labelled backward, associated with poverty or fear rather than intelligence. Building codes followed aesthetics, not physics, and manuals erased designs that couldn't be easily replicated with concrete and steel. There was also control. Central heating systems tied you to fuel supply chains, utilities, and infrastructure. Earth-sheltered homes made people independent, and independence doesn't scale neatly. Wars accelerated this shift, pushing rapid construction over thoughtful design. Even in cold regions, temporary solutions became permanent habits. Knowledge that once passed through hands and seasons stopped being taught. By the time energy crises arrived, the old builders were gone. What remained were fragments in sagas, ruins in fields, and the assumption that modern automatically meant better. But the environment never agreed with that idea. The earth kept doing what it always had, holding heat patiently, waiting for someone to notice again. And quietly, a few people did. You're seeing that rediscovery now, whether you call it earthships, passive houses, or off-grid design. The names change, but the logic doesn't. As energy costs rise and climates destabilize, you're being pushed back toward solutions that don't break when systems fail. Earth-sheltered homes offer resilience, silence, and thermal stability with almost no moving parts. You don't need to live like a Viking to learn from one, you just need to respect what they understood. Heat is precious, loss is deadly, and the ground beneath you is the most reliable ally you have. This isn't nostalgia, it's pattern recognition across centuries. When you insulate with earth, you're opting out of constant struggle and into balance. The fact that this knowledge was erased should make you curious, not dismissive. Because anything that survives 1,000 winters has something to teach you. As you rethink homes, energy and security, remember that the smartest technology sometimes looks like soil and grass. If this changed how you see history, shelter or survival, keep following these forgotten ideas. The past isn't behind you, it's beneath your feet, quietly waiting to be used again.